Yes.
In LA or other places?
In the Philippines.
Oh, you know that it was in the Philippines? Where? In Makati or where?
In Mandaluyong.
Oh, in Mandaluyong?
Yes.
Really? Oh, that's our friends there.
Way back.
Yeah, from Singapore, ones already started that program.
They closed it down though.
Pardon?
They closed it down, the one in Mandaluyong.
Mandaluyong, well, it was an offspring. It was an offshoot of the mainstream. And they opened a branch there. I don't know what happened. I haven't been in touch with them for years.
Right.
So that's not there. So you knew him from Mandaluyong?
Also, Jagat Guru was influential back in the Philippines.
Well, that was a long time ago.
Long time ago, yes.
Yeah, back in the 70s.
Yes.
You were there then, huh?
No, I was introduced maybe in the 90s.
90s.
In the 90s, yeah.
Yeah, they're still around. They're not very. You don't see them much.
Yeah.
They were in Manila. They were
Right. But basically in Hawaii.
Hawaii, very big in Hawaii. They were in New Zealand also.
Right. But I've been reading the Gita, and then that was the influence.
In different branches of the tree.
In and out.
You're living in LA, are you?
Yes. But we go to Watseka.
Watseka.
Twice a month, we eat lunch there. Visit.
Oh, that's nice. One of my Filipino disciples cooking there in the restaurant.
That's why they're
in
good.
LA. Huh?
That's why they're good.
I don't know if he's a head cook, but he's cooking in the restaurant. Okay. Nice. Well, thank you for coming over.
Thank you.
Anyone from Philippines? Philippines? No. You from Philippines? No. You'll be going there soon. He's coming with me to the Philippines. First time. 11th of January we leave. Mananda's already been. He came last year. We have a nice farm there now near San Pablo.
Laguna, yes.
Yeah, Laguna. A nice farm. Very beautiful. Small one, but very beautiful place. If ever you go back and visit them. We have a Hare Krishna. We have land in Taguig.
Oh, okay.
We got a half an acre of land in Taguig, and we're planning to build a temple there.
Nice.
Yeah. And we got permission and everything, specifically for a temple. And we have in Makati right now, San Antonio in Makati.
Yes. I've been there.
You've been there. Bit of a rundown place.
Right. Small village, you go in.
The village itself is opposite. The mayor of Makati lives next door to us. 5 doors down. Where are you going?
I'll come back again. I just discovered that ISKCON is here. I just came to live here.
Where have you come from?
I've come from India.
India? Wow!
Yeah. I'm actually quite into ISKCON, and there is a big temple. There's a place near where I live in India. It's called Dwarka.
Oh, you live in Dwarka?
Dwarka, yeah. Wow. So there is this huge ISKCON temple there, and I am...
In Dwarka or in Rajkot?
Wow.
In Dwarka or Rajkot?
Dwarka.
They built one, huh? Yeah. We built a big one in Rajkot, the main city nearby Dwarka.
Okay.
In Jamnagar.
Jamnagar.
Mm-hmm. So you're living in Dwarka itself?
Yes.
Amazing, huh? Dwarka. I haven't been there for 15 years. Fantastic place, I love it. I love the what's that river called? The little river, the Gomuka? The little tiny river there. When the big wave comes in. You know, Dwarka, you've got that little water and the ocean and the wave. Every now and again you get that, it's like a tidal wave, about a 6-foot wave. Suddenly roars up the river there. Big wave, 6 to 8 feet tide comes flying in, and you just you're carried by this wave that comes in. It's amazing. Yeah, incredible.
So I will make it a point to come again. I just discovered I was passing by and...
Really? Where are you living?
I'm living 2 stops away from the bus.
Oh, very close.
So
give a contact. We'll let you know our programs. Take contact.
I'll do that.
Vasananda, take contact. Or somebody. One of the ladies there? Where's Priyarani, take her contact, keep in touch, okay?
Hare Krishna.
She's from Dwarka too. She's also from Dwarka. It's also an extension of Dwarka. Dwarka? Bait Dwarka. Bait Dwarka. Bait Dwarka. Do you know this song, Jai Radha Madhava? Do you know it too? Maybe a songbook is there for them. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Are you still there? Is she still there?
Yes.
The river Gomti. Hey. Haribo. Priyarani. Tell her the river Gomti. It's called the Gomti. You know the Gomti, yeah, that one. That's where the wave comes. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Radha Madhava Gopi Janabalabha Girivardhari Yay Gopi Janabalabha Girivardhari Rukmini Dwarkadish ki jai. Dwarka, Rukmini Dwarkadish. She's not listening. She's enamored with Radha Parasishwara. That's the name of the deities in Dwarka. Temple of Rukmini. Rukmini and Krishna have two separate temples in Dwarka. They don't stay in the same temple. Krishna has his temple, Dwarkadish temple, and Rukmini has her temple, Rukmini temple. Unique. Close to each other. Gopi Janabalabha Girivardhari Yasodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yasodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Ramo Hare Ramo, Ramo Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Go Premanande, Harinama Sankirtan Ki Jai, Shishi Radha Parasishwara Ki Jai, Shishi Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Ki Jai, Shishi Nitai Sachi Sutta Ki Jai. Go Premanande, all glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. Jai Prabhupada. Jai. So today it happens to be a very special day on the calendar of Vaishnav devotee calendar. And who knows what it is today? It is Thursday. Besides being Thursday, what else is it today? It's Ekadashi today. You know what Ekadashi is?
Familiar, but not really.
Yeah, we are not obligated. Obviously, you're familiar, but you know the regular devotees, especially the initiated ones, they don't eat any grains today, and some of them don't eat at all. The choice is yours. But we don't eat any grains today, right? No grains? No grains. Okay, good. You can eat, but no grains. Just vegetables, fruits, milk, like that, you know. Nuts and what have you. And what else is it today besides... that day occurs twice a month. It's supposed to be a day of fasting, traditionally. What else? Huh? Gaura Kisora Babaji Maharaj. Tirupal. That means we honor the day of the, I don't know if you can see, there's a picture, a small one. On the altar there in the middle, the 5 pictures on the level there on the, low down, there are 5 pictures in a row. The one in the middle, a little bit of hair on his head, his name is Gaura Kisora Babaji. Today is the anniversary of when he left the world. Tirupal, when they returned to their eternal, not that they're leaving in one sense, but they just resume their eternal Sangha or service there in the spiritual world. His name is Gaura Kisora Babaji Maharaj. We'll hear about him maybe in a minute. What else is it today? Anything else? Harinam Sankirtan. If you're in the city, we'll be going for street Sankirtan, chanting on the street. If you want to come and see or join us, you're welcome. That will be in, if you know the city at all, I don't know, but the main crossroads in Paris is a place called Châtelet-Léal. It's the biggest metro station, big shopping mall there, and lots of restaurants. It's very busy. We'll be chanting there this evening from 6:30 onwards. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
At least some do as well. I don't know about all of us. And what else is today? It's the first day of Bhishma Panchaka.
Yeah.
And that's a festival, not a festival, it's a 5-day fast. For especially, it's not possible for everyone. This is the end of a period called Chaturmasya. It's 4 months in India. Generally, this is the rainy season. If you've been to India, So generally from July to October is the rainy season. So it's a little late this year. The months are late. It's a late year. So this year it's another 4 days to go. Chaturmasya, this 4-month period where saintly people, and traditionally they would not travel during this month. They would stay in one place, perform austerities, study like that. And it is not the case now really, but still the months are there, and it's recommended during these 4 months that there's some kind of austerities performed. So we perform a lot of austerities during these 4 months, right? Not really. I don't think if we do anything, it's very, this age we're in these type of things. They're not. Haribol, Mataji, Hare Krishna. They're not so highly emphasized like before. And chanting the holy name is required, is sufficient. For any age, it's sufficient. But especially for those who aren't following, and those who are following, they follow very strictly, and those who haven't followed, don't follow, they may follow these last 4 days. And so today, I've told the cooks already, they're preparing boiled cow dung. They're going to make it warm, and I said, you can put a little salt in the cow dung, okay? That's the breakfast this morning. They eat cow dung, can you believe it? Crazy people. These guys, you know. It's why they're all so skinny. I can't. Gee. Then tomorrow you just drink cow urine, okay, tomorrow. The next day you can just take a little bit of yogurt, the next day milk. On the 5th day you can mix them all together. That's a real feast on the last day. You ready? Anyway, we don't do that, but that's for those who really, our business is something different. We don't follow that. Although some people do in India. Some devotees do in India, but they have nothing else to do except to sit and chant all day long. We have things to do, we have preaching business work to do to help other people. So, so the main thing we'll talk about today is not that. We'll talk about, let me see, where is this? Gaura Kisora, that's Babaji Maharaj. Let's have a look, let's see. Did I mark something? Yeah. Okay. I haven't really prepared anything particularly, and there's not an awful lot written about him because he appeared in the early part of the 19th century. They didn't used to keep records. We'll chant before we start on that one. So got a songbook, please. Songbook. Songbook. Oh, you got one right there. Thank you. Thank you very much. Raya? Raya?
Yes.
Thank you. I just chant the pranams to Bhakti Siddha to Gaura Kisora Das Babaji Maharaj. Namo Gaura Kisoraya Sakshat Vairagya Murtaye Vipalambhava Sambodhe Padam Bujayate Namaha Om Jnana Timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Katamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nevasesha Sanyavari Paschachadesha Tarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Rama Rama Hare Hare Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. You're getting out, you should stay another week. You might get some snow. They're predicting snow next week. You don't get much snow in Los Angeles. No, you have to go further north, huh? Up to Seattle or something. Maybe they get snow in Portland, Seattle or something. But not in LA. So, yeah, his early life. Not much is said. He was born in Bengal, area called Faridabad. Faridapura, not Faridabad, it's near Delhi. Faridapura. And sometime in the 1830s approximately, though no one really knows, but approximately in the 1830s. Nobody kept records in those days. We're so into records nowadays, when you're born, what time you're born, where you're born. It doesn't really make any difference. You're just here for a few seconds and then you're gone, basically speaking. You know what I mean? There's like, we probably have millions of files on, maybe billions of files on people in huge buildings, you know, archives, huge endeavor keeping track of everybody's birth, their everything, right? Huge records. They didn't do that in India. Because they realized that, you know, the point of life is not to keep records of your life in this material world. It's rather to change the record of your life, to come to the spiritual platform. So he was born, like many people, in a village in Bengal, in Faridapur. And let's see, it's a brief, we're just giving a brief summary here. Later in his life, he got married. He was, okay, well, I'll read this introductory part, it's quite short. In East Bengal, which is now Bangladesh. It used to be part of India. It was part of Bengal at one era. But now, since 47, so the British separated it and became Bangladesh. Unfortunate, but what to do? On the river Padma, there's a big river. The river Padma, perhaps you've not been there. I've been to Bangladesh a few times. And you're from Bangladesh. You know the river Padma? Padma, that's the English term. What do you call it in Bengal? I don't know. Anyway, Keturi and many places are on this river Padma. It's huge. It's a branch of the main branch of the Ganga. So and it mixes with the Brahmaputra coming down from the Himalayas. You know the Brahmaputra in the Himalayas? It comes through Tibet and it winds its way down through Assam into Bengal, joins with the Ganga in North Bengal or Assam somewhere, and then it comes down. In the rain season it may be 8 miles wide, like 10 kilometers wide. You can't travel anywhere without a boat in Bangladesh. Everywhere you go on boat, you know, there's rivers everywhere. It's really nice actually. You go on these boats everywhere. People say he was named as Vamsidas before he got initiated as Gaura Kisora. We got that name Gaura Kisora when he took the renounced order of life. We'll hear about that in a second. He was born, he was a Vaishya family, kind of trading and stuff, you know. But he was never into it. He was illiterate, he never learned to read or write. You know, now people judge your status in society. If you can't read and write, you're considered low on the rung, isn't it? If you don't earn a lot of money, you know, everything's judged on, you know, externals, huh? Judged on externals, not judged on internals. And it's not really judged either on, you know, other factors, like if you grow all your own food, that doesn't count. Haribol Mataji, you cooking? La cuisine? Merci beaucoup. They judge on externals, artificial externals. How much money you've got in the bank, how much you earn, what your education is. Like that, what type of job you've got. You're judged in society, basically. And people below the bread, what do they call it? Below a certain grade, they're considered below the certain range of, I can't remember the material term for it, bread level or something, where you hardly got enough money to eat. We consider in the Philippines we have a lot of people below that mark. Especially in Manila, there's so many slums and people living in very poverty-stricken conditions. And in various parts of the country, but mainly in Manila. And in the West also, you see in Paris there are many, you know, people living on the street in tents and poverty-stricken conditions. Below the bread line, they call it. It means you don't really have enough money to buy your daily bread. And you're low income bracket, a very low income bracket. So many people are. But that's not the only measure of, let's say, I mean, if you have all your nice farm, nice gardens, you have your own cow, you don't earn any money, but you get all your needs, you make your own cotton, you make your own clothes. those people are considered below the breadline also, because they're not GNP, there's no gross national product in terms of money coming from them. They survive, they maintain themselves, and they live very happily like that, off the land. But they're considered poverty-stricken. They don't have a car, they don't have a telephone, maybe they have a mobile now, but they never used to. They don't have computers, they don't have TVs, they don't even have electricity. They're considered to be very uncivilized, practically speaking, out of it, basically. No electricity, can you imagine living without electricity? Well, you may not be able to imagine it. It's a great relief. It's one of the most pleasing things I've ever experienced in my life, was living. Hare Krishna, where are you going? Where are you going? Huh?
I have
Some work? Got some important business to show important. Take some books with you, don't forget. Wherever you go, distribute books. Okay? Shouldn't go anywhere without a book in your pocket. You're going to be a big book distributor. He's fired up. Came with us. Came on Sankirtan with us doing books a few weeks ago. Yeah. Nobody could get past him. He was like dynamite. In the station. So, yeah, they didn't have all these things. But living without electricity, imagine LA with no electricity. It'd be finished, wouldn't it? In a moment. Nothing would work. Absolutely nothing would work. Nothing. Petrol pumps would stop working. Phones would stop working. No banks, nothing would open. Couldn't get any money out of your bank account. All the supermarkets, nothing would work because they're all, computerized now. There's not even people in supermarkets in many places. There's no people there to serve you. It's just a machine which you check out on. In England, it's common now in big supermarkets. There's no person behind the till. It's just a machine. Cameras watching everything. Alarms go off if you don't pay. Petrol pumps, nothing. Traffic lights, nothing will work. Imagine the chaos. Hare Krishna. Vanakkam, Vanakkam. From Tamil. Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka? Haribo. Nandri. Nandri. Okay. So they had no electricity. So nice. I remember I stayed in one village in Bengal with no electricity. So nice. 6:30, the sun goes down, 6 o'clock, all dark, just lamps. A whole village comes to the temple for bhajans for the next 2 hours. Then they have a feast. Then they go to bed. Then they get up, 6 o'clock in the morning, they're all going to the fields to work. Come, midday they're finished, this is too hot. They do all their work in the morning, and then they rest in the afternoon, and take lunch, of course, and rest. It's a lovely life. And then work a little bit in the evening, when 4:30 to 6:30 or something. So nice, so peaceful. No cars, no noises. It's like, you can hear nature. You can breathe air. You can feel, connection with the world around you. The people are so simple. We don't know what it's like. It's not, of course it can't be compared to paradise. We call Paris paradise. It's so blissful in Paris, so peaceful. Isn't it? You must go to Châtelet Léo, it's so peaceful there. Everyone's so happy. Right? No anxiety. We create these civilizations, and you're nurses, so there's still, even with all our modern, there's still sick people, there's still a lot of people suffering, in fact, more than ever. It's amazing, we advanced and we increase the suffering, we increase the problems, we don't decrease it, it increases. So many new ways you can die now, but everyone dies. They've just invented new ways of dying, that's all. They haven't stopped anyone dying. Or suffering. Mental illness has become a major issue nowadays. Stress, and so on. Anyway, he was from that simple situation. The whole of India was like that in those days. His parents, when he was a young kid, basically a teenager, they arranged his marriage, and he remained as a grihastha for about 20 years or more. He did his thing. I think about 40 or something, he retired. And he worked as a broker in the grain business. When his wife left the world, he left his business and went to Vrindavan. Been to Vrindavan? India? One day you should go. Vrindavan is near Delhi, place of Krishna's birth. So, you've been? 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 You went to Vrindavan with me. No, you didn't go. You did, sort of, on the surface. So Vrindavan is a very special place, a holy place. They give us, it's like, little embassy. You go to the Sri Lankan embassy in Paris. They have an embassy, I guess. Or you go to the Filipino embassy in Paris. It's like a little outpost of Philippines or Sri Lanka or Nepal or wherever you're from, Rwanda. Little outpost in the city. Yeah? And it's like that. They're like embassies of the spiritual world. But more than an embassy, but it's like that. So he went to Vrindavan and he spent some time in Vrindavan there, and he approached Bhagavat Das Babaji, a foremost disciple. Bhagavat Das Babaji is a great Babaji, a great devotee. He was a disciple of Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. And from Bhagavat he accepted what's called Vaish, the Paramahamsa Vaish, or the Babaji Vaish. It's the highest renunciation. In this world, it's the highest official status of renunciation, the Paramahamsa Babaji Vaish. So he accepted that from Bhagavat Babaji, that's Babaji. And after this, he was completely renounced. And he would just wander, staying under various trees in Vrindavan, the great saintly place. They don't have houses. They just walk around, sleep under a tree, beg a little roti. Roti means like chapati. Beg a little roti, maybe a cup of milk. Roti, that's it. Fine, that's enough. Just wander around the Holy Land. So, poor people. I remember some years ago there was this campaign by some well-wishing philanthropist to try to help the poor, poverty-stricken widows in Vrindavan. They don't know what they're talking about. Mm-hmm. These ladies have chosen to live like that. They've given up the material world and they want just to live with nothing. Krishna in the center, but they couldn't tolerate to see these poor old ladies living in, little tiny rooms with next to nothing to eat, no money. They don't realize what the goal of life is. One great devotee said recently, in fact, he was living, gave up he was a prince, he was going to become a king of Rajasthan, one city there. And he gave it all up and moved to Vrindavan. Lived just like this. No home, just living. Courtyard of some temple, just hardly anything. No money, nothing. His family tried to get him to come back to be the king. He wouldn't go. He said, you're going to become a poverty-stricken beggar, they said, for your whole life. You want to live like this? And he picked up one grain of dust from Vrindavan and said, this grain of dust is more valuable than all the riches of the universe. What do I care for your kingdom? They realized he's serious. They didn't bother him again. Ganesham, his name was, not so long ago. Maybe 50, 60 years ago. Temple dedicated to him is there in Vrindavan. For about 30 years he stayed there. Sometimes he'd visit other places of pilgrimage. And he would go to Navadvip sometimes. And he would associate with Babajis there and in Puri also. And persons associate with Bhakti Vinod Thakur. And others in the area of Navadvip. And of course, Jagannath Das Babaji also. And so many Babajis he was associating with. The Babajis they're totally renounced personalities. No obligation in society. see. He was called a Bhajananandi, one whose life is perfect through hearing and chanting, devotional service. But he never endeavored for any kind of name, position, or followers, or anything. Totally detached from it all. In around 1897, when he was in his 60s, he went Yoga Pit, the site of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when it was been revealed by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Gaura Kisora Babaji Maharaj left Vrindavan and went to Navadvip in Bengal. And there he took shelter under the instructions of Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj. He remained in Navadvip till his departure, living in different villages and seeing them all as non-different. He would just live the same life there. He would collect dry wood. Sometimes he would cook something, wood from them, and whatever. He would get discarded pots that people threw away, clay pots. He would use those to cook in, and whatever donations would come his way. Let's see. Completely independent. Bhaktivinoda did construct a little bhajan kutir for him when he arrived, and near Svananda, Sukhara Kunj, which is where Bhaktivinoda Thakur was living. Simple abode there. Anyway, they used to associate with each other, and as you probably know, later on, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta, the picture next to his on the altar on the left, took initiation from him, and that's kind of a famous story, isn't it? How Bhaktivinoda Thakur's son, whose name was Bimala Prasad, Bhaktivinoda wanted him to take initiation, so there was no qualified person around that he could think of himself, but he couldn't give initiation to his own son. So he told him he should approach Gaura Kisora Babaji, although he's a Babaji, so you should approach him. Generally, Babajis don't give that type of initiation, they only give Babaji initiation. So you approach him, and eventually Gaura Kisora Babaji agreed to initiate him after a long pastime. We won't go into that. I'm going to jump over, Babajis, they're very eccentric sometimes, they don't even wear clothes sometimes. But usually they wear a little cloth around their waist. But he was extremely renounced, genuinely renounced. So I'm going to jump over and go to another section of his, let's say, pastimes. Let's see what this is. Ishavasyamidam sarvam, you know this verse? Yat kincha jagat tena bunjitya magadikashasvidanam. This is from the Upanishads. Everything animate or inanimate that is within the universe is controlled and owned by the Supreme Lord. It is the greatest illusion to imagine that any facet of the unlimitedly valuable and sublime spiritual world, which is composed of spiritual gems, is within the jurisdiction of their controlling power. He's talking about persons who think they can own property in the Holy Dham. As a matter of convention, one may say that he owns something, but the real proprietor must never be forgotten. Otherwise, such a conception becomes a source of bewilderment. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur purchased land in the Dham, but he was never censored by Babaji Maharaj. He just censored a Rani, a queen. Who the heck do you think you are to say you're buying land in the Holy Dham? You cannot own anything in the Holy Dham. You have no qualification. So, but Bhaktivinoda purchased land, but he was not censored. Why? For he perfectly understand the real possessor, who really owned the land, not thinking this is my land, I can do what I like on this land, I'm going to charge you for staying on my land, etc., isn't it? People make money. It's a big business in holy places. Lady was from Dwarka. It started to happen in Dwarka also. Making money out of pilgrims. In Vrindavan and Mayapur, it's like the biggest business that exists there. You've seen that down in Thai. In Mayapur, so many buildings, and they're all rubbish. Buildings are useless, all coming up. And people are making money, charging huge amounts of money for these, 10th class buildings. And this is totally against the whole principle of the Dham. This really is Kali Yuga. Narottam Das Thakur has explained the actual process of entering and residing in the transcendental abodes such as Navadvip and Vrindavan. This is the process. Vishaya Chorya, that's no song. Vishaya Chorya Kabe Shurahabiman Kabe Hama He Rabo Shri Vrindavan. What's the price of entering Vrindavan? How much does it cost to go from Delhi airport to Vrindavan? 3,000 rupees, that's all, not much. 50, not even, how much is 3,000 rupees? 40 euros, 30 euros? You can take a taxi from the airport and you're in Vrindavan. Doesn't cost much. Very cheap. That's not the price. Here's the price. When one has forsworn, given up all material sense gratification, his mind is completely pure, then he is able to behold Vrindavan. Can't actually enter in unless the heart is completely pure. You can visit, you can get purified by being around the Dham, but you can't really enter into it. You can associate with it. But to enter in, and to actually see the Dham, one has to be completely purified. There's so many wonderful statements. If we don't have the time, I'll just read one or two more. This may be a little heavy. The sharp words of a sadhu. Sri Gaura Kisora Das Babaji Maharaj always gave beneficial instructions to persons who approached him with faith and humility, no matter what their spiritual status. He would always consider their welfare. Now, oftentimes when people go to saintly persons, very common amongst Indian people who are very pious, Swamiji, please bless me. You ever heard that before? Maybe you even had it yourself, I don't know. Ever had that done at time? Some very pious Indian person comes, Swamiji, please bless me. Please bless my child, please bless my daughter. We want her to get married, please bless her, and so on. Please bless my son, he's going to university, college in LA, please bless him, and so on and so forth. Please bless my family, please bless me, please bless. And they always ask for some material thing. And when Papa one time, one man, or a group of them said, Swamiji, please, we want your blessings. Prabhupada looked at what type of blessings? Just please bless us, Swamiji. Okay, I'll bless you. You see these, there were sannyasis, 3 young sannyas disciples of our Srila Prabhupada were sitting next to him. I bless you to become like them. Oh, Swamiji, no, please, no. Anything else, please. We always want material blessings. It's natural if we're in the material world, you're suffering or you want some success. But the real blessing is actually to, be free of that. They don't realize it. So that's the qualification you can. Where did I get onto this? I've gotten to it. Here we go. So Gaura Kisora would always give beneficial instructions, but they wouldn't always be what people wanted, how they thought they wanted, no matter what their spiritual status. On one such occasion, a seeker went to Babaji Maharaj to hear topics concerning the Supreme Lord, but he heard some harsh words from him instead. The seeker therefore resolved to never go near him again. Spoke some strong words. There's a very interesting statement of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. He said, at home, sometimes the husband will take any amount of chastisement from the family members. They scream at him, call him ill names, not always, of course, but many times this happens, He comes back and wife getting on his case, the children demanding, and then as soon as the guru says one word, he leaves. One word of chastisement, he gives up his guru on the spot, After some time, however, having been stricken with a distressed and troubled mind, he suddenly returned to see Babaji Maharaj. Srila Babaji Maharaj, instantly realizing the reason for his depression, told him, "Oh, you have left the association of devotees where topics about Krishna are discussed, and now you are living in a secluded place and performing solitary worship of Krishna. When one hears the topics of the Supreme Lord in the company of devotees, then one becomes freed from Maya's net of illusion. But if one performs worship of the Lord in a secluded place, not in the association of devotees, one becomes caught by the illusory energy. As a consequence, instead of topics about the Supreme Lord possessing the heart, mundane subject matters will occupy it instead." The seeker replied, "I thought it better to reside in a secluded place and perform my own individual worship than to become disturbed by hearing the sharp words of a sadhu." Babaji Maharaj replied, "Please take note that those sadhus who speak sharp words to drive away the witch of the illusory energy are actually the only real devotees of Krishna and friends of the living entities. The conditioned living being experiences the distressful quarreling this is where it is, of his wife and close relatives and is rudely treated by them until death. Yet he never desires to leave their association. On the other hand, he absorbs himself in trying to appease and serve them. But when a devotee of the Lord, who is always desirous of the living entity's ultimate welfare, chides him or chastises him just once with instructions meant to drive away Maya, then that conditioned entity immediately makes plans to leave the saintly person for his entire life." Exactly what we just said. It's common. If you actually want to perform devotional service properly, you must accept the harsh language of the sadhu as the medicine by which Maya can be given up. By this one can obtain the necessary spiritual advancement to successfully chant the holy name. It's like when Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, who was initiated by Gaura Kisora, when Gaura Kisora left the world, Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj was lamenting terribly. He said, "Who now will chastise me? Now that my guru is gone, who will chastise me? Who will correct me?" He wasn't thinking of, I won't be I won't be able to see him, I won't be able to enjoy him or whatever. He's thinking, who will chastise me now? He was thinking like that. Yes, anyway, this typical situation. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj described, there is no doubt that the words of the sadhu possess the power of destroying the evil propensities of one's mind. The sadhus in this way benefit everyone who associates with them. There are many things we do not disclose to the sadhu. The real sadhu makes us speak out what we will keep concealed in our hearts. He then applies the knife. The very word sadhu has no meaning other than this. He stands in front of the block with the uplifted sacrificial knife in his hand. The sensuous desires of men are like goats. The sadhu stands there to kill those desires by the merciful stroke of the keen edge of the sacrificial knife in the form of unpleasant language. It doesn't mean rude language, it means strong language, cutting language. If the sadhu turns into my flatterer, then he does me harm. He becomes my enemy. If he gives us flattery, then we are led to the road that brings enjoyment but no real well-being. Without the association of devotees, one will almost certainly be overwhelmed by the illusory energy and his thoughts will naturally turn to gratifying his senses. So this is the mood of Gaura Kisora, who was a renunciate. He lived on his own basically, but he was preaching to others like that. You must hear Krishna Katha in the association of devotees if you want to change your heart. Let's have a look another way. There's so many interesting lessons he teaches, but again we don't have the time. I will just give some general instructions here. Once Sri Gaura Kisora Babaji wrapped his body and feet with a cloth. Sitting covered like this, he said, many persons, after being informed by others that I am a Vaishnav, come here to collect the dust from my feet. I tell them, I am not a Vaishnav. If you go where there are Vaishnavas with their feet pretentiously decorated and extended to be touched, then you can get unlimited dust. In other words, they sit there with their feet out like me, hoping you'll come and touch their feet. They think, oh, very great. He said, but I am not a Vaishnav, he said. At this time, a person named Bhattacharya came from Vrindavan with his female companion to see Srila Babaji Maharaj. Approaching him, he said, you are my spiritual master. Please be merciful to me. Babaji Maharaj replied, saying, I have nothing. I have no rasgullas, I have no sandesh, no luchi puris, no money, no sweet rice, nor sweet words. How can I bless you? Those spiritual masters who can feed their disciples many sweets are praised as the most advanced. Nowadays, such a person is qualified to become a spiritual master. Presently, the learned section defines the word anukul, favorable, as receiving wealth, a beautiful wife, and sweet words. Bhattacharya then remarked, we have many misconceptions. Whatever you instruct, that we will do. Gaura Kisora Das Babaji Maharaj then instructed him, I can see what is most favorable for you. You should eat rice that has been soaked in water and sit on a grass seat. You should eat food that not even a dog would accept. You should wear clothes that even a thief would not steal. You must remain in the association of devotees and always chant the holy name of the Lord. By imitating the activities of one who is very renounced, one resembles a monkey. Monkeys sit in one place and remain quiet, but when they get the opportunity, they steal something. As long as one acts like a monkey, then his devotional service will never become fixed. Babaji Maharaj thus instructed Bhattacharya with respect to his actual position and responded to his insincere plea for instruction by giving him orders that a monkey-like renunciate could never follow. The humorous description of so-called spiritual masters given by Babaji Maharaj aptly describes a category of guru that people keep as a pet for fulfilling their material desires. He's like, they take it as like, what to speak, as a fashion to have a guru. But I was listening to Prabhupada say that this morning on a lecture. He said, don't take a guru as a fashion. In the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada was saying the first thing is prapanam. The first thing is you must be submissive. Without submission, there's no meaning, he said. Submission. Arjuna was quarreling, and then he submitted. Then Krishna took the role of guru. So submission is the first thing, not this idea, I want something from the guru. Give me this, give me that. This is the general tendency. Though speaking for Bhattacharya's benefit, it is clear that the man was not sincere enough to actually hear the instructive words of a bona fide guru. There's so many things on all different aspects that we sometimes get confused about. Let's read this one. A certain Damodar Das came to live with Babaji Maharaj for some time. For this he gained some respect from the local people. He had originally come from Orissa, where he had formerly been married. Once his former father-in-law came to visit him. The father-in-law was accustomed to go from place to place with a manuscript of Srimad Bhagavatam in his hand, reciting it as a means of earning his livelihood. Babaji Maharaj had permitted Damodar Das to collect substantial donations from the pilgrims who visited him. Without informing Babaji Maharaj, Damodar Das gave a certain portion of the collection to his father-in-law. The omniscient, that means all-seeing, Babaji came to know of it, and he stopped talking to Damodar Das. It's a common thing in India, they collect money and send it to their family. Prior to this incident, Damodar Das had occasionally been allowed to boil rice for Maharaj. But after the theft, Babaji Maharaj stopped eating anything touched by him. He reverted to his practice of eating rice soaked in water. Realizing he had been discovered, it wasn't cooked, it was just soaked. It's slightly soft. Realizing he had been discovered, the Orissan became terrified, and other associates of Babaji Maharaj became disturbed. The Orissan began, or Riyan as they say now, began to fast from all food and water. When Gaura Kisora Das Babaji was informed of this, he said, if this worldly person does not leave me immediately, then I will give up my life by drowning in the river Ganges. Shortly after that, Babaji Maharaj plunged into the waters of the holy river. Seeing this, the people who were on the scene immediately went to his rescue. He shouted at them, leave me alone, don't touch me. If I cannot perform Hari Bhajan, then I will not bear this body anymore. The people insisted on rescuing him, however. When he was revived and made comfortable, he asked the people, why did you take me from the Ganges? The Orissan has given away all that I have to this father. Hearing this, the people told him they would replace whatever he had lost. They would give him 4 times what the Orissan had given to his father, and were prepared to bring the money immediately. Babaji Maharaj told him, I don't need the money, but I refuse to keep this Orissan in my association. If I live with a hypocrite, then my bhajan will be hindered. Many of the people had thought that the Babaji had wanted to drown himself due to his attachment to money. Now, however, they could understand the truth. That's how a normal person thinks, Because you lost something material, therefore you're distressed. That's what I think. I can't live with such a hypocrite any longer. Hypocrisy or deceit is the sole province of Krishna. He can do what he likes, but no one else should. Only he can exhibit it without sinful reaction. When an ordinary person practices deceit, it is an unlawful imitation of the Lord. Our words full of it. And we'll just read about 2 more things, or 2 or 3. Once in a while we get this chance. A certain Ayatra Punya lived at Mayapur for a few days, and then he departed. Shortly thereafter he brought alms from Mayapur to Navadvip and went to take darshan of Babaji Maharaj, who resided there at the time. Babaji Maharaj inquired from him about Mayapur. In reply, Ayatra Punya remarked, "I will not go to Mayapur anymore, because that Saraswati and others there are Vaikuntha men. They are interested in the Aishvarya mood. I prefer bhaja in the mood of braj. I'm not interested in their association." Hearing this, Babaji Maharaj felt disgusted and said, "It is ridiculous for a sparrow to attempt to cross the ocean. If you are really serious about living in braj, give up your criticism, be lowly and humble like the grass, and always chant the holy name of the Lord day and night. The first and foremost principle is that you should give up offensiveness at the feet of a Vaishnava. Do you think you'll get information about Vaikuntha from hell? Saraswati Thakur is in Vaikuntha and he is in Vrindavan as well. You are present in the lap of the witch called Maya. How will you know the Saraswati of Vraj?" At this rebuke, Ayatra Punya said, "Oh, I will live with you in Navadvip." Srila Babaji Maharaj said, "You are not in a position to live in Navadvip. One who commits offences at the lotus feet of Vaishnavas cannot live in Navadvip. You are an offender at the feet of transcendental Mayapur. You are sure to become degraded. I live at Mayapur and Navadvip as well. Those who detest living in Mayapur will never be able to live at Navadvip. Sri Mayapur is the birthplace of the son of Sachi. It is a transcendental abode. You do not possess the eyes to see how Srila Bhaktivinoda and Saraswati Prabhu have exemplified the performance of Hari Bhajan with pure ecstatic emotion. You are inimical to one Vaishnava and pray to another for mercy." Thereafter it actually came to be, as predicted, that the aforementioned man became atheistic and indulged in illicit sexual activities with women. He was begging alms and purchasing expensive gifts for various women with whom he had illicit connections. Such is the result of committing offences against great personalities. The single-minded chanting of the Lord's holy name. Once an old Vaishnava who was as venerable as the spiritual master to Babaji Maharaj became attached to deity worship instead of showing the ideal path of constant chanting of the Lord's name. While staying at Kulia, Babaji Maharaj mentioned this to Saraswati Thakur. The old Vaishnavas adopted the practice of Archana at the fag end of his life. Fag end means the end of life. Hearing this, Saraswati Thakur questioned, saying, "Are you teasing me? There cannot be any deviation in the behavior of one who is like your spiritual master." To this, Babaji Maharaj replied, "If that is so, I shall not say any more in this regard." Srila Gaura Kisora Babaji Prabhu narrated this incident in order to instruct us that the path of Archana might constitute a reduction in the indifference to worldly affairs of one advanced in the performance of Hari Bhajan. Interesting. And one more point. In other words, one may becoming more attached to whatever, the beauty. It's nice to be attached to Krishna's beauty, but sometimes it becomes a little bit our own perspective of that. How to recognize a Vaishnava. Once someone asked Srila Gaura Kisora Prabhu, the actual character of topmost Vaishnavas does not always seem to correspond to the descriptions of their character which are revealed in the scriptures, such as Srimad Bhagavatam. This is a common point. Such Vaishnavas sometimes even appear to exhibit mundane character. Please be merciful, instruct us in this matter so that we can easily recognize a genuine Vaishnava. Srila Babaji Maharaj responded, out of his own free will and the inspiration of Krishna, a great Vaishnava, being saddened by the misery of the fallen and conditioned souls, vents himself in a certain family, in a certain place, at a certain time. When such an exalted Vaishnava attracts people by his ecstatic love and devotion and teaches them devotion to Krishna, the Lord considers The Lord considered with some trepidation, it would be difficult for me to repay the debt to those who have surrendered themselves to such Vaishnavas, who are as dear to me as my life. I will become the servant of those who are affectionate to my pure devotees, and thus I will easily come under their control. With this fear, Sri Krishna occasionally conceals the spiritual qualities of great souls from the eyes of the public. It's very interesting psychology, you could say. By the power of Krishna's Maya Shakti, the characteristics of the genuine Vaishnavas are concealed from those who have interests contrary to devotional service. Thus, genuine Vaishnavas appear to the materialistic person to have materialistic character. In this mood, Krishna examines the living entity to see how much he is actually attracted to the absolute truth, and if he is, he reveals the spiritual character of the great souls. Hence, without the exercise of the independent will of a Vaishnava, no one can know him, even after seeing him all of the characteristics described as him, even after seeing in him all the characteristics of the scripture. It is often observed that the Vaishnavas praise the materialists and thereafter keep their distance from them. Sometimes out of fear of the crowd, such Vaishnavas conceal their natural spiritual symptoms. Sometimes they make a pretense of converting materialistic persons into their disciples. They seem to want to be served by them and always take their advice. Thus they keep their true nature obscured. I have seen with my own eyes that at Vraj, a great Bhajanandi used to worship and chant at a village some distance north of Radhakund. Many distressed people used to visit him. He gave them the hope that they could fulfill their desires, physical and mental, by praying to Krishna. In the course of time, his fame spread near and far, and people went there in droves, day and night. He came to be reputed as a man of pure devotional austerity, as Siddha Babaji. When the news was spread that he was an extremely renounced soul, devoid of the desire for gold, women, adoration, and compassionate to conditioned souls, he was much harassed by a constant flow of visitors. Troubled by this, he made arrangements with a rich man for a monthly allowance, and with that money he engaged a young sweeper woman who sat in front of his cottage and acted as his servant. Seeing this, the people began to criticize, concluding that the Vaishnava was a womanizer and attached to wealth. Others stopped visiting him. Anyway, I'm going to jump this one. Now maybe we'll go to the very last one now. His disappearance. Gauranga polite habe. He gave blessings. One great devotee should preach this message all over the world, which he did a little bit actually. His entrance into the eternal pastimes of the Lord. In the Bengali year 1322 at dawn, at the 30th day of the month of Kartik, 30th day, it says 30th day of Kartik. Well, for those who are observing Kartik, Ekadashi to Ekadashi, this is the 30th day. We observe Purnim to Purnim. Generally, they used to observe Ekadashi to Ekadashi. You understand? The day of Ekadashi. Generally, they used to start Chaturmasya on Ekadashi. So the month of Kartik is Ekadashi to Ekadashi. And we start on Purnim, so it goes from Purnim to Purnim. Some do one, some do the other. He was starting on Ekadashi, the last day of Kartik. Corresponding to November 16th, 1915, Srila Gaura Kisora Babaji entered the eternal pastimes of the Lord. That day at sunrise, Srila Saraswati Thakur left Mayapur for the Rani Dharm Shah at Kulia, where Babaji Maharaj had been staying. The head priests of Navadvip's various temples and ashrams began to argue among themselves about where Babaji Maharaj's spiritual body would be interred. Means where it would be buried. You know, Babaji, they bury them. They don't burn the body. They bury, like Christians, they bury the body. Muslims, they bury the body. Buddhists, they generally burn the body, and Hindus also generally burn the body. And most Westerners now burn the body also, cremation. Mostly they don't bury so much now. So normally get cremated, but they would, because the Babaji is pure devotee, Paramahamsa, they'll bury him. So there was an argument that took place. There was a material motive behind it, for the contending parties considered that establishing the Babaji's samadhi at their ashram or temple would put them in a position to earn handsomely from the pilgrims. Do you need a chair?
Oh, no. Let me stretch.
Huh?
Let me just stretch.
Yeah, yes, stretch. Pull up a chair if you want. We'll be finished in 5 minutes. Yeah, they would earn handsomely because people would come to take darshan of the, there's a chair there already, and to take darshan of the samadhi. Famous person. And then they'll give money. So they were arguing over it. Money. I've seen this with my own eyes. Pracharas arguing over money and donations in India, in Navadvip. Srila Saraswati Thakur opposed their illegitimate attempts, however, apprehending a breach of peace. Navadvip's inspector of police, who was at that time Mr. Jatindranath Singha, arrived there. He heard there was an argument going on amongst these Babajis, who would have or these spiritual temple owners, who would have the samadhi of Gaura Kisora Das Babaji. After much controversy, the various hypocritical Vaishnavas stated their position. Srila Saraswati Thakur is not a sannyasi, thus he has no right to prepare a samadhi for a person who has renounced his home. Hearing their pronouncement, Saraswati Thakur replied in a voice like thunder, saying, I am the sole disciple of Paramahamsa Babaji Maharaj. Even though I have not accepted sannyas, I am a celibate brahmachari, and by the grace of Babaji Maharaj, I am not a hypocritical renunciate, secretly attached to abominable habits of fornication, as some monkey-like people are. I take pride in saying this as a bearer of Babaji Maharaj's shoes. If there is someone here who is a renunciate of truly stainless character, then he can come forward and arrange for the samadhi. I have no objection to that. He who within the last 1 year, or even 6 months, 3 months, 1 month, or even 3 days has not indulged in illicit association with women will be able to touch his spiritually blissful body. If anyone else touches it, he will be completely ruined. Hearing these words, the inspector of police said to him, how will the evidence for this be produced? Srila Saraswati Thakur enjoined, I will believe what they say. After this challenge was offered, the Babajis turned their backs one by one and departed from that place. The inspector of the police was dumbfounded. Some of the people remaining there advised that Babaji Maharaj had expressed a last desire that his body be dragged through the streets of Navadvip in the dust of the dawn. To this Saraswati Thakur replied, although we are fools, inexperienced and offenders, we will still not be disinclined to understand the true meaning of those humility-filled words which have been spoken by my Gurudev to destroy the pride of worldly-minded people. Even Krishna Chandra will personally think himself successful if he carries my Gurudev on his head or shoulders. After the departure of Haridas Thakur, Gaur Sundar took the spiritual body of Thakur on his lap and danced what dignity he adorned it with. Therefore, following in his footsteps of Sriman Mahaprabhu, we shall also bear Babaji Maharaj's spiritual blissful body on our heads. On the following day, November 17th, on the Uttana Ekadashi in the afternoon, according to the spiritual ordinances, Srila Saraswati Thakur laid the body of his Guru to rest on a newly formed sandpit of the Ganges at Kulia. A low-caste person of Lohagar from the district of Jeshore donated his property, claimed to give up all rights, but after some time he forgot the promise and started to utilize the land for other reasons. Although he was criticized for this, he maintained his pride, committing offenses. 16 years later, by the will of Gaura Kisora, his place of rest was eroded by the river Ganges, inundated by it. Srila Saraswati then organized a party of men and recovered the samadhi intact, brought it to the bank of Radhakund at Brajapatana, where he established it before a memorial of Sri Guna Manjari. Nitya Gauranga Das, anyway, goes on. How have they done it? Jai, Sri Gaura Kisora Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. So you can go there now to Brajapatana, the place of Gaudiya Math there in Mayapur, and you can take darshan of the samadhi of Jagannath Das Babaji. Very holy place. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Time for getting late. We started late. Time for prasadam. And after prasadam, we'll start. Those who are free, we'll start sorting out the books downstairs. Tomorrow, Balaram is driving the truck, not Namachar.